The farm here, there's about 80 hectares or 200 acres of grass, right? On this farm, what is in grass tends to stay in grass, right? There is a tillage part to the farm as well, but the grass is not rotated with the tillage, okay? They're normally kept separate. So Tom, just give us a rundown just on the sheep enterprise on the farm. How many ewes, what breed of ewes you have?
Around about 800 ewes. Suffolk, Texel, Romley. We've moved into a bit more Romley the last couple of years. Some mule as well. 700 mature ewes and around about 100 ewe lambs goes to the lamb. That's what's here.
Now there's a tillage enterprise on the farm. There's a heifer rearing enterprise on the farm as well. Now that's done for financial reasons, Tom, but just explain how that heifer rearing enterprise fits into the grass management system here.
The heifers comes the 1st of May and here until around about September. We've surplus grass at that time of the year, and we have them here on a daily rate. We've extra grass at that time of the year, and it just works into the system. We do pit silage there as well for the yard. Just with the sheep, look, with the sheep you want at the beginning of the year and the end of the year, plenty of grass, but in the middle of the year we do too much. That's why we're doing the heifer rearing.
So you find, look, they're good for maintaining grass quality. If you've good grass quality, you're going to have good lamb growth. Okay? So from the 1st of December to the 15th of February, the ewes are outwintered on Red Star to Brassica, along with silage. Just explain how that fits into your system, Tom.
We have the tillage here, so the Red Star after the winter barley.
What time of the year?
End of July, whenever the winter barley's cut.
Yeah.
Win with 3 kilos of Red Star. Around about 100 an acre it's costing us. We can do the work ourselves. I'd say it's the ewes is outside. We made the silage with them as well.
And just Tom, explain how that fits into the grass system here. What does it allow you to do?
Well, it allows us to rest the farm for the whole winter. Well, we'll be closing up paddocks here at the end of October. Everything we closed up at the 1st of December. And then we wouldn't be going back out onto grass until March. That's why we have the lamb earlier, because we have grass. We can build up grass over the winter. Well, the ground is rested. And the Red Star suits. That's in their set.
So what some people are going to do in the winter time is obviously house their ewes. Instead of housing ewes, Tom is putting them on Red Start. Yeah. Right? It fills the same gap that housing would fill. Now, Tom is closing his paddocks from late October.
Yeah.
And they're all closed by the 1st of December. Okay? Outdoor lambing, Tom, look, I suppose there'll be a lot of interest in that. Just explain, I suppose, for outdoor lambing, 3 or 4 things there that you see as key to successful outdoor lambing.
Well, there are plenty of grass. You can't do outdoor lambing if you haven't got grass. We don't feed after lambing and that, but we would every year we would have grass come the 10th of March. It's cheaper, and the weather is a big problem. Some years with outdoor lambing. Another reason for the outdoor lambing, we have student vets here the last number of years. They are off for 2 weeks holidays, and which is a very good help. And then with the 10th of March, the lambing start early, and then the lambs gone down early.
So, look, a lot of outdoor lambing system will start lambing in April, right? Trying to get the good weather. Why, Tom, do you go earlier than that? Why do you go at the 10th of March?
Well, in help, we do have grass, and you get the lambs away earlier, and then as they were at the tillage as well, come April, the early days of April, we have spring barley and maize to do. And that's why I'd say that's why we kick off on that day. And outdoor lambing, when we have the grass, it does work year in, year out.
What you don't want to do is go too early, get the bad weather.
Yes.
Go too late, and the lambs are later finishing during the summer, which holds up the whole system then.
Yes.
Okay? Right. The other thing you're doing, Tom, is lambing starts 10th of March. When the lambs are an average of about 5 weeks old, they're put into 3 groups. So there's 2 groups with 300, and there's 1 group then with the rest. Just explain why you're putting them into such big groups. What's the advantage?
To manage grass, to put them into the paddock and eat it out fairly quick. Because if you have a lot of small groups, you won't keep the quality in the grass. Big numbers, in, out, clean the paddock out, move on. We run this like dairy farm to a sense. We'd have 20 paddocks there, 21 or 2 paddocks, and we just keep moving them along, and we're just keeping the quality in the grass. It's working. As I say, we don't spend much money on meal here.
Now, when you were asked to maybe summarise your system, Tom, this is what Peter came back with: finish as many lambs off grass as quickly as possible. So, look, I suppose what's important there, off grass, your meal bill there per ewe is about €8, €8 or €9. Compare that to the national average, which is somewhere around 23. So your meal bill is very small. And if you look at it, like meal, pre-lambing, we say late pregnancy before lambing, that's the only time that your ewes are getting meal.
Yes.
And the ewes there, they're getting an average of 15 kilos of meal, right?
Yeah.
And you put that down to, I suppose, 2 things. One is grass quality at lambing time, but the other thing is, over the winter, you're feeding very good quality silage.
Yes. If you have the good quality silage, you don't have to feed the meal. Look at 16% protein there. You know what I mean? It's singles with it got no meal at all this year, and some of the doubles didn't, because they're just in right good condition coming off the vet start. Now we'd be feeding the triplets. The triplets goes in when we scan the middle of January, and they would be being fed all right. But then the others would be just fed accordingly.
And Tom, just to explain how you're getting 74 DMD.
It's good quality grass. It wouldn't be very heavy cuts. Usually mow it and leave it a day on the ground, spread it out, and then bale it up. That's the.
And your first cut this year, Tom, when was it done? What date roughly?
We would have been starting to cut the first year on with 10 to May, I suppose.
Right. So I mean, you're cutting very leafy grass. The other thing Tom is doing there is he's cutting grass when it's still very leafy, when it's short. All right.
Yeah.
That doing 2 things. It's giving you top quality silage, but your after grass then, it's coming back very quickly.
Yes.
And it's there for your ewes, it's there for your lambs.
Yes, the ewes will make better on it. It's a win-win. If you can keep the good quality grass, everything's doing well.
So, just target pre-grade 8-9 centimetres.
Yes.
Just go through a few things that you've done in the last few weeks to achieve those targets.
Well, we've been constantly taking. Peter's been doing grass measurements the last 2 years, 2-3 years. He did it in New Zealand. When he came back, he decided it was the thing to do, which it is, no doubt about it. But as I say, he does go around every week, and he'd come back and he'd little chart in on the house, and he'd say such and such paddock to pull out, that we're going to be doing bales. Most times it does work. Sometimes he'd say no, look, there's very well to the back there. The rain came here and then we're going well again. Now we were running a bit tight, but then only yesterday, the other day we mowed the last of it again because we had extra grass coming. But
and even if you look at the farm today, Tom, you've 2 paddocks cut. You've a paddock cut here as you come in on the right hand side.
Yes.
And then you have another paddock cut down here.
Yes.
So look, you're measuring grass. You know when the surplus is coming.
Yeah.
You know when you've enough. You're taking out grass then, taking the chance, baling for silage, and then you've got your quality after grass coming back into the system then for your lambs. So
well, if you haven't the quality grass, you see it in chart over a step further, you won't finish the lambs on stemmy grass. I mean, you have to keep it small leafy things like that there for them to keep them moving.
So look, this board here, it shows the performance of the ewes of the flock here for the last 3 years. So you can see there ewe numbers here that went to the ram. Now it includes ewe lambs, 757 here, and then last year 802, right? What we have here is the pregnancy rate for the mature ewes. So 95% pregnant, 94, 94 and a half. So you can see the barren rate there is around 5-6%. And look, we'd often say that if the barren rate is higher than 3%, you should be looking at your system and asking yourself why, investigating why. So sometimes it could be an infertile ram, it could be ewes in poor condition. But Tom, just explain why your barren rate there is between 5 and 6%.
We would be higher here for the simple reason we lamb over 5 weeks. As I say, we come April, we stop because we have other jobs to do.
So your ram is out for 5 weeks and he's out with the ewes for 5 weeks and then he's taken out.
Yeah.
Breeding season finished.
Everything finished.
And lambing finishes in about 5 or 6 weeks.
Yes.
It just compacts the whole thing.
Yeah, that's the way.
What is the advantage of that for you?
Well, as I say, come April, we're away other jobs. We don't be around here. Well, we'll be around all right, but we're at the tillage.
Yes. So
and
when lambing is finished, it's finished.
It's finished, and we get good help in while we're busy. I'll go and that's it. Then just move on to the next job.
So about 90% of Tom's ewes would be lambing in about 3 weeks. Okay.
Yes.
And look, I know it's an outdoor lambing system, and a lot of people think that means no work or very little work. But at lambing time, right, there's 4 people here, right?
Yes.
You've the veterinary students for 2 or 3 weeks. They're starting at 6:30 and they're finishing at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, well, it varies.
Right.
Some of them here, it might be a little bit longer.
Right. Yourself, Tom, you're starting at 6, and I'm told you finish at 10.
Well, that vary too, so wouldn't it?
Right. And then Peter's starting at 9 in the morning, works till 5, stops at 5, goes to bed for a few hours,
And then he does the night.
comes back out again at 9 and finishes at 5 in the morning.
Roundabout, yeah.
Then you're back out an hour later.
Yeah.
That's the system
That's
here.
more or less.
Okay.
That's the system would work.
And if you have a compact breeding season, you have a compact lambing season, and you can focus your effort then on when the bulk of those ewes are lambing.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing it's doing for you there, Tom, is it's giving you a much more even batch of lambs then for the rest of the year.
It is, yeah. When you go to draw lambs, you have a load of lambs, even lambs, every week to a sense, rather than thing dragging on with big ones and small ones. No, it's well on our system. It works very well. I'm not saying for everyone, but it works well. When we're at towards the end of the lamb, we'd have our biggest losses because as they wouldn't be here, we'd be doing other bits and pieces. But when the lambing, it varies from the weather. We would be bringing them in. You'd have to have a plan in place with outdoor lambing to bring them in as corns to a lambing. We'd have 80 pens maybe that we could bring them into if we needed to.
Yes. And look, there's the scanning rates then for the mature ewes. So look, typically around 1.85, and the weaning rate then, look, in 18 it was 1.36, and then last year was 1.44. And 2 things happened here, Tom, in 2018. Just explain those 2 things.
2 big ones. The beast from the east with the snow, it came and it hit us hard, and we had abortion that year. We're vaccinating since for that. But on the outdoor lambing with the weather, it can make a big difference. But that year we got caught badly, so we did.
Okay, so this table here, it shows the lamb finishing pattern, look, during the summer and the autumn. And you can see there, look, June he'd normally have 12% sold. By the end of July, 35. By the end of August, 57. 81 by the end of September, 94 by the end of October. So, look, those lambs, the vast majority of that growth is coming from grass.
Yes.
On average, the lambs are getting about 8 kilos of meal, which is very little. Okay? Why is that key to your system, Tom? Why is getting those lambs gone by the autumn key to your system?
Get them gone because if you haven't got them gone, they're eating the grass for the ewes at the back end of the year, and it's just messing our system up.
Yes.
But that's working well the last couple of years for us. They're gone. We're building up grass to get the ewes in good condition, going to the lamb, and yeah, we haven't much of a meal bill. Just keep the grass good, and everything will fall into line.
Yeah. And your meal bill then for the ewes, well, the ewes are getting about 15 kilos of meal, right?
Yes.
Which, is fairly low. Your meal bill per ewe is about €8, which is about a third of what it is on most farms, okay? And that comes down to grass quality. Look, we were talking here about the abortion problem. I suppose to try and rectify that, Tom, you're going to start picking your replacements from within the flock.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the plan going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, any questions?
You're saying you grouped them up to groups of 300. At what age can you do that at?
So just to ask the question again, you group them up to groups of 300.
Yes.
At what age can you do that, Tom?
Around
Just
about
explain
5
why.
weeks.
5 weeks, yeah.
Around about that, yes.
And you've no problem with mismothering or
No.
no?
The later ones would be grouped together later, but the first of them, we'd have the first two groups of 300s. But as I say, look at the first 3 weeks of lambing here, we'd have the bulk of them lambed. And then 5 weeks from that, after, look, it'd be some small ones in it, but in general, no, you wouldn't much bother mismother, no.
And the other question is, fertiliser wise on the Red Start, what do you put on?
2 bags of 18-6-12 and a bag of nitrogen down when it comes up.
Why not all at the one time?
Because when the plant, 2 bags, we do, as I say, just go in with the one pass, sow the 3 kilos per acre. the 18-6-12 is spread on it, and then when it comes up, just up a wee little bit, it'll take in the nitrogen better. That's what I'm told.
You just one pass it straight into stubble or plough?
No, it's stubble.
In stubble.
After winter barley.
Yeah.
And your cost, Tom, for that was about €105 an acre.
Roundabout.
And you're doing the work yourself, you don't get a contractor in.
No, we have our own soil and things.
Now that's important. If you're getting a contractor in, you're waiting for him. If he has another business, if I say silage or something like that, then
Yes.
you lose a few weeks at that time of the year. It makes a big difference to the yield, Tom.
It makes a big difference, yeah. Every week at that time of the year, a lot. I'd say as soon as we get the start off the field, it will be in at the one pass the next day.
So what the one, sorry.
Do you have a problem with volunteer barley taking over?
You'd have a little bit, you'd have a little bit, not a whole lot now.
You don't spray
No,
the
we
barley
don't
off?
spray for it, no.
Okay, right.